This time on episode 195 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we discuss Legion Chapter 8, weekly Marvel news, and your feedback.
Hey guys, I'm Usually Dave from the Digital Soup Podcast, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeek.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. This show is recorded on Sunday, August 20th, 2017, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast worldwide via www.geeks.live. Happy National Chocolate Pecan Pie Day, ladies!
Well, I know what I'm doing later.
Yeah, that's like two of my favorite flavors of pie got together and smooshied and had a baby. It's wonderful.
It's like the Reese's of pie.
Ooh, the French silk Reese's pie. Nice. I like that one too. But this is the national. I never had chocolate pecan pie. So yeah, I'll have to go seek that out
okay,
later.
so now we got to hurry up and record it so we can all run out and get pie.
Before they run out. Okay. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Defenders on Netflix, Legion on FX, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the Marvel Comic Universe in general.
Because of going in the back door.
If you'd like to talk to us about going in the back door, you can find us at our website, legendsofshield.com.
If you'd like to talk to us about backdoor access, you can leave us a voicemail, safe for work, please, at 844-THE-BUS-1 or 844-843-2871.
You can tell us about your adventures of going in the back door by posting on our Facebook page, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can leave us a 140-character message about going in the back door on our Twitter at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Keeping within the YouTube community guidelines, you can leave us a message on our YouTube channel about going in the back door at youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
I think SP might not be too proud of us right now.
You have coerced me with euphemisms during the intro here, but we're going to move away from that, and we're going to get on to the fact that Haley is not here. She is out traveling the country trying to find the best spot to view the eclipse. I think that's what she is doing. And we have brought in Michelle for the week. Haley will be with us next episode, but Michelle, thank you so much for joining us this time.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And it is always our pleasure to have you on board. We didn't talk about it yet at the beginning, but I did mention it in the opening. The Defenders came on, so hold on. We're going to have a quick, spoiler-free first impression by the ladies. All right, ladies, we have the Defenders.
So I marathoned it all on Friday, and I really enjoyed it. The first episode or two, I thought was a little bit slow, but once everybody actually comes together, it picks up really fast. I really loved everybody's interactions with each other. Iron Fist was a lot more bearable in this than in his own series. I think it helps that other people are actually calling him out on being kind of weird and, you know, all the stuff that we've called him out on in his own show. Sigourney Weaver is amazing. Madame Gao, I felt like, was a little bit underutilized. And the last couple of episodes, like, wow, serious emotion there. And the last episode, I feel like it peaked a bit early, but it definitely leaves everybody wanting more, which we will get in season 2 and or 3 of everybody else's shows. But what I really want is more of everybody together. So come on, guys, give me more of that.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I do like it how it was a shorter season. I'm really glad they let go of that 13 episode, I don't know, imposed mandate, possibly. Agree about Iron Fist. Jessica Jones shines. All just her attitude and everything, especially the way she reacts to Matt in his Daredevil outfit, is just classic. And I was not disappointed. In fact, this is, I'm like Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones, Defenders, Luke Cage, Daredevil season 2, watching paint dry, getting my teeth pulled, Iron Fist. So there you go.
Oh, yay. We still have many episodes of Iron Fist to get through. Yeah.
Joy!
But then we'll talk about the Defenders after that, which will be great because I'll actually get to watch it then.
Exactly. And it's actually a lot of fun, and it feels like a quick watch. I did take a break about halfway through to go get food because food is good. But yeah, it wasn't the whole, oh my God, I need an emotional break that I felt through a couple of the shows, like, Jessica Jones or Daredevil. And it definitely wasn't the, oh my God, I'm going to pull my own eyes out if I have to watch any more hours of this in a row that I got for Iron Fist. But it was just like, stuff is happening. I need to have food so I can watch the rest of this happening. And I know I'm going to finish it soon. And I want to know what happens next. Yeah.
And you could tell somebody made Finn Jones go, look, you're going to share the screen with Charlie Cox. You're going to get some training, boy, because the action is really good.
Yeah. Finn Jones has actually put it, again, his fighting still isn't top tier. He does not look like a kung fu master, but he looks slightly more competent. Like he's not embarrassing himself by being on screen with Charlie Cox's Daredevil.
I, again, am looking forward to seeing this. Can't wait. It's going to be about a month and a half before we start watching the Defenders after Iron Fist, because we're going to transition after this episode, which is going to be about the season finale of Legion, into 2 weeks with Iron Fist for a while until Inhumans starts up. And we still have to discuss how we're going to cover the Inhumans IMAX release coming out in just a few weeks, but hopefully we'll be on to the Defenders by then. All right, ladies, any last thoughts before we move on to Legion? Michelle?
No, I'm good.
All right, Lauren?
Jessica Jones is my precious baby. And Claire is amazing, as always.
I look forward to seeing Claire in the Defenders. Okay, here we go. Back to Legion. All right, Legion, Chapter 8, the season finale. Chapter 8 aired Wednesday, March 29th, 2017 on FX and earned an 0.81 rating, which is pretty much the season high for the second half of the season. Legion was renewed a couple of weeks prior to this episode airing on March 15th, 2017, as we've been stating every week since it has since our coverage has started. So, Michelle, we had a usual director for the season finale.
Yes, this episode was directed by Michael Uppendahl. Has 20 directing credits since 2003, including an episode of Weeds, an episode of Longmire, an episode of The Walking Dead, 11 episodes of Mad Men, 9 episodes of American Horror Story, 1 episode of Daredevil, 5 Fargo, and 3 episodes of Legion, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 8.
Lauren, we also have a familiar writer for the show.
We do, in fact. This episode was written by Noah Hawley, who is the creator of the show and was also the showrunner for Fargo. He has 7 writing credits going back to 2006, starting with Bones, which actually he wrote a bunch from when I was still watching the show. The Unusuals, My Generation, Fargo, Legion, and is the announced writer for a potential Doctor Doom movie. Which, if he's at the helm, maybe it won't be so bad. I mean, what, 5th time's the charm, right?
5 times.
Actually, a podcast that I like about bad movies, We Hate Movies, they're doing some of their summer reruns right now, and they just did they pulled their Fantastic Four: The Silver Surfer episode out of the vault. It was not a great movie, but it did have Chris Evans and it did have Doug Jones, and I did watch it. So I guess, I don't know.
So for the Doom movie, I think they're just trying to do it to keep the property alive, and I hope they're transitioning into a better filmmaking process. But yeah, 5th time, that says it all right there.
Well, I guess technically it's only okay, we got the one that was never released. We got the ones with Chris Evans and Ewan Griffith and all them. We got the one that they just did. So this is technically the 4th time. But
okay. So
I mean, unless you want to count the Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Silver Surfer as 2 separate movies instead of one franchise.
I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll talk about that philosophically later. Let's get back to Legion, Chapter 8. That is the title of the episode. And every time we watch an episode, we look at the title, we try to figure out what the significance is to the series, to the episode. So, Michelle, what is your take on Chapter 8 as a title?
Well, you could actually look at the figure that you think is an 8, but really that's the infinity sign upright. So I'm thinking that perhaps this is some sort of, it just goes on and it's not meant to end. It's just infinity.
So something I'm curious about, do you think next season it's going to start with Chapter 9?
That is something I was thinking.
I've been watching Black Sails and they've been doing that.
That'd be interesting. So, Lauren, do you have an explanation for Chapter 8 that is different from the infinity symbol?
I do not.
I do, actually. And I'm thinking it's homage to the number of people in the main cast. Yes, the listed main cast: Dan Stevens, Rachel Keller, Aubrey Plaza, Bill Irwin, Jermaine Harris, Amber Midthunder, Katie Aselton, and Gene Smart. That's 8. I think that's an homage to the 8 main cast members.
Good connection.
Oh, I was totally reaching there. So in the meantime, let's talk about the highlights from the episode. It starts off in flashback with the cold opening, as it often has during the series, with the story of Clark. So, Michelle, what happens with that?
Well, what's interesting is that you start seeing like the intro part, and that comes out and you realize it's like a hospital monitor. And we learn that Clark's the interrogator from Chapter 1. And he actually survived that attack, the rescue of David. We see it as the rescue of David. He sees it as the attack because, we are the heroes of our own story. And we see him recover with his husband and his son, and his determination to not just sit behind a desk. He said, men died. I am prepared to go to war. So you better send me back out on the field with a portable desk, because that is the only way I will do desk work.
It'd be great to have a portable desk like the Jetsons that just floats right behind you. I think that would be awesome. Don't you, Lauren?
It would be like the standing desks that are a thing right now, except it just floats alongside you. That would be useful. You could actually walk around and get stuff done. Of course, then if a stiff breeze comes along, all your stuff goes flying.
Well, it would have to be a paperless environment.
Well, but then you can just walk around with like a tablet or something.
Oh, so portable desk equals a tablet. And this is the 60s. So they have tablets in the 60s, right? Because they were on the desks.
Oh, it looks more like the 80s, really.
Yeah, that's what's something about this show, because Amy mentions email. There's like an Apple G3, G4 computer scene, which is, that's one of the things about this show is, we do have an unreliable narrator. And if you look at Clark's story, he's a gay man, openly gay, with a husband and an adopted son. And that was not, I don't think gay couples could legally adopt until 80s or 90s or something. So that's something about this show.
Yeah, it's that whole, if you read any of the X-Men comics or any of the Marvel comics, really, there's aspects of the time period that you're in or that it's set in, but there's futuristic elements and science fiction elements. So there's enough of the familiar to us, but enough of like a pastiche to the 80s when David Haller was introduced. So it's this weird kind of lost in time element that we've discussed before. Because it's, Clark with his husband and his adopted son, it's very, very much something that's, it's taken for granted now. But in the 80s when, gay men were demonized for being the carriers of GRID, which was what they used to call AIDS, gay-related immune deficiency. And people wouldn't even talk about it. It was thought to be some sort of cancer. And, it was just this, go back and look at history. It's really horrifying how it was treated at the time. So the thought of, back then of two men being able to get married and adopt a kid and live this perfectly normal life together. And especially if he's in a government job. I mean, it was the thing of science fiction. And now it's, the couple that lives next door to you.
And besides that, he has had 6 weeks. He mentioned 6 weeks. He's had 6 weeks of being in the hospital and then some sort of recovery time in his home before coming back to work. He's had a lot of time to think about things. He's got revenge on his mind, as Michelle pointed out. And also, he's got a shiny new cane, doesn't he?
Okay, this is something I wanted to talk about. The first time I watched this episode and I saw the cane. Okay, there's a number of very famous wolf head canes in genre fiction. There's the one from the Wolfman back in the 30s. That's kind of the ancestor of it. There's the one from Dark Shadows that's held by Barnabas Collins. But the one that I always think of is the one from the Stephen King miniseries Storm of the Century that belonged to a man named Andre Lenoge. And his name was an anagram for Legion. This isn't an exact model of the Lenoge cane, but every time I and a lot of other people who were kind of around that age in the 90s see a wolf cane, it's kind of the first thing you think of. So again, a Legion connection there.
Nice pull, Lauren. That's why we keep you on the show, by the way, is because all the great knowledge that's in your head that you just like getting out. Now, talking about stuff that's trapped in somebody's head, David still has the Shadow King trapped in his head, but he's also trying to manage this truce of this quote unquote war between Division 3 and the Summerland mutants. And he's basically saying, hey, the war is over if you want it to be. And I don't know if that's actually what happened.
Well, first of all, that quote is actually from a John Lennon song. It's that, so this is Christmas. They play it like every year at Christmas. And there's that chorus that's a bunch of little kids singing war is over if you want it. And again, it's the whole, this is very much of its time thing, because that song was released in, while I search, okay, it was released in 1972. It's called Happy Xmas War is Over. And while he's talking, if you look at his shirt, we've talked before about the significance of David's shirts. Previously, his shirt was the yellow triangle within a circle. Right now, it's the yellow triangle, no circle. So I think this is a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about at the end of the episode for sure. But we also need to talk again about David's shirt and the jacket over it.
I don't remember the jacket.
No, it was just he was wearing a jacket, which is kind of obscuring it. It was kind of a tweed silverish sort of jacket. But the big issue is, again, the t-shirt.
Yeah, because it's the yellow triangle. And then if you jump ahead to the end, because we're talking about the t-shirt, it's actually like two triangles. It almost looks like a 3D, almost like a pyramid sort of deal. So it is no longer a yellow triangle. There's no yellow at all. So it is interesting how everybody else has the same outfit. Sid is still in that, skirt, leggings deal. And, there's a lot of people still kind of wear like the same things or something very similar. But then David's t-shirt seems to, has always like changed and morphed.
I feel like it's very much indicative of the whole different aspects to his personality thing. Cause again, in the comics, Legion's power is that, due to his dissociative identity disorder, he has different personalities and each personality has a different power. And with regards to the shirt at the end, I've been trying to think like, what could that mean? And I think that might be kind of a hint at what's ahead, because again, it's like you said, it's a triangle, and we've been getting triangles throughout the last half of the season. So if we look at it's a triangle and it's bisected. So it's, these two triangles together. So is it, that his mind is still segmented? Can we look at it as him and Sid, together? I don't know. The way I'm thinking of it is that he's still not whole, but I don't know.
There's a lot not to know because the series is leaving on a cliffhanger. And once again, we'll touch on that in a second. You mentioned the appearance of everybody. Sid actually changed appearance in the astral plane, going to the all white, half dress. I forget what that's called. It's not a mini skirt, but it's a summer dress, what you will. And all of a sudden we get Lenny back, and Lenny's not looking too good.
Oh my gosh, the zombie tar creature that Lenny has become. And it's interesting that, again, at the beginning of the season, when, when they kissed and Sid touching David's mind, and then David creating that white room for them to, be together. And then how Lenny can use that to basically draw Sydney in and go, hey, guess what? You can't unmake soup.
Nope.
You're going to leave.
You can try, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because Lenny's more like, they think he's like a tumor, but he's more like a fungus, where he's just embedded in everywhere. And that's not easy to remove.
Yeah, you can really look at, the white room as kind of indicative of this, purity and kind of innocence and the goodness of what's between David and Sid. And Lenny's appearance here, the oozing, the tar, the stickiness, her, really disheveled, gross appearance is very much, it's an infection. It's a pollution. It's poisoning that relationship between them by, leaving that gross stain mark on the room.
And it goes away, though, as she's walking away. Is there any significance to that, or is it just like the astral plane cleaning up after itself?
That could be, I don't know, the strength of David's mind, the strength of Sid's mind.
Yeah, because the only mark Lenny can make is when touches Sid's lips in like some of the black transfers there. But yeah, because the Shadow King is still contained almost, so I guess that's probably why it doesn't leave footprints.
She finally finds the weakness in Sid, right? She finds out that Sid's weakness is to try to make sure that David is whole again and survives. And then she uses that to her advantage later on too. And I think that is finally pretty astute of the Shadow King finding a way out, because Shadow King knows that he's not going to win ultimately here. Either he's going to die or basically he's going to be removed from existence, one of the two. And it's not looking good for him, but he finds a way out. So, is the Shadow King a he?
Yes. Amal Farouk, the Shadow King, is a he, yes. This appearance, Lenny, is, well, meant to be androgynous. Aubrey Plaza is a she. But, yeah, there's that whole very, kind of, I mean, there's a feminine sexuality to Lenny. There's a masculine sexuality to Lenny, the way that Lenny is approaching Sid is very aggressive in what you'd consider traditionally masculine, but the way that Lenny insinuates with David and then later Oliver is kind of traditionally feminine. So it's really interesting. Again, these weird mind games.
It is. There was a lot of great one-on-one scenes throughout the middle part of the episode of individuals talking to their counterpart that they've been closer with. I thought that was a really great use of a few minutes, like 15, 20 minutes during the middle of this episode, because you had like Melanie talking to Oliver, you got Carrie talking to Carrie, and so on and so forth. So really well done. And this is why I really have enjoyed this series so far, because it has well done moments like this. And it was just, this episode was so great. So they move ahead into the memory removal sequence in the, I don't know, laser square or something like that. And that's when all crap breaks loose.
I really loved this whole sequence. We've talked before about just the weird psychedelic stuff that goes on whenever they do anything involving memory work. And here you see David, at first you see David kind of as an observer watching his own memories. It's like he's at a movie theater almost, just, watching these projections of his memories and seeing everything. And then things get weirder and we see, the reactions of people around as everything starts to break down. We see, David's nose is bleeding from the stress of it, the physical stress. And we see, one of my favorite parts is when the actual Shadow King, the big blob monster, starts flashing on the screen, and we see Clark, who's watching like, oh my God, like freaking out about it. It's a really interesting moment of, wow, there's actually something here.
Yeah, and then when they think, we're doing it, we're successful, and then they're like, oh my goodness, it's fighting back, and it's like, well, duh, it's the Shadow King. It's one of the most powerful mutants there, and Sid does a brave. I see it as brave. Yes, it's. She knows that David's going to die. And it's that whole question. If David dies, does the Shadow King actually die with him? Because of the whole astral plane thing. Like, could the Shadow King actually preserve his essence by actually leaving and going back to the astral plane, or just finding a host real quick? But she goes in and kisses David, and then Farouk enters her. And it's great, the biting, the gloves off, and then female Carrie comes in, and it's just like, boom. And then what's his name? I forget his name. I'm sorry. Comes in with a gun.
Autonomy.
It just starts shooting. Like, guy, there's like equipment and there's people, and that was not a wise move.
No, but he's desperate. And desperate people do stupid things.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at that point in time. I'm not going to defend him at all. I think it was a stupid move, but it's where he goes to, and it's leads to the fractureness of both the mutants here and D3, and the fact that nobody really has a strategic plan moving forward, because quite frankly, until recently, nobody knew exactly what they were dealing with. So everybody's got a different idea about what to do and how to do it. And they're going to have to go through it again, obviously, because Shadow King does indeed survive. But before we get to that, I want to mention Clark's eye. So Clark is broadcasting everything that's happening within the Summerland compound to the general in charge of D3. And so they're seeing, from Clark's perspective at least, what's going on inside the compound. And it might lead to a joint venture next season. It might lead to further fracturing. I don't know, but it's very interesting that they're actually seeing from a bird's eye view, quote unquote, of what is going on in Summerland right now. So
yeah, if we go by traditional X-Men storylines, this will not lead to like a joint thing. It's just going to lead to them being like, oh, mutants are even more dangerous than we thought. We have to work even harder to kill them all.
Yeah, that whole exchange with Melanie and Clark, where Melanie is like, the dinosaurs went extinct, and oh, by the way, David's a world killer. So your threats might have meant something to me before, but now not so much. And then Clark's like, you guys are gods, and one day you will realize it and we will become extinct.
Yeah, I know this is one of the complaints about the use of mutants as, the standby for any marginalized population. It's the whole, you shouldn't treat people differently just because they are different. But at the same time, minorities and like ethnic minorities and sexual minorities, etc., don't have the ability to blow things up with their minds. So there's always that kind of, the metaphor is not exactly a one-to-one.
right, because my kids and your kids are still going to have to fight this out sort of mentality. And
yeah, if our kids fight on the playground, who do you think's going to win is what Clark says. And again, it's not, especially right now, like today in recent climate, you don't want to sympathize with the one who wants to wipe out an entire population on either side. But again, actual human minorities are not, world killers who can blow things up with their minds. It's like that whole metaphor. Remember in X3, the movie that we pretend do not exist, when Rogue's like, oh, wow, a cure. This is awesome. And Storm's like, we don't need to be cured. And it's this whole thing of, we don't need to assimilate. But I've seen a post going around where it's like, I'm perfect, says a girl with butterfly wings. I want a cure, says, again, SP, I'm sorry, man who will explode if he ever gets a boner mutant.
Nice.
But yeah, it's the whole one person's, there's the mutants that have the super awesome, cool powers. And then there's the ones that have the super terrible, terrifying powers. And right now, David's kind of in the second group.
Yeah, it's a big balance scale sheet. And hey, the dinosaurs are gone for a reason. And this is mutants taking over. Of course, this is before the Inhumans were ever really thought of as well. And you got that whole thing going on in the Marvel comic universe right now as well. So you do have this issue, and it is coming to a crescendo for the series. You have the big scene where actually it was, oh my gosh, it was so great, where Carrie is running towards David, where Carrie is the one where Farouk has been transferred into after the Sid takes the takes her gloves off, and well, first she kisses David, so Farouk transfers into Sid because of the body swapping powers there, and then she takes her glove off and touches Carrie. So now Farouk is in Carrie, and Carrie makes it out into the hallway, and David is there, and they're running after each other with their powers full blown, and they smack into each other, and then boom, big explosion happens throughout the entire compound. It was just phenomenal to see. But what happens to Farouk? He finds a new host, and the host is Oliver.
Another person with scary mental powers, potentially.
That really broke my heart, because during all of this, Oliver is in, I don't know, it looks like a Jeffries tube, but bigger. Sorry, Star Trek, I know. But he's there like working the generator, need more power, blah, blah, blah. And then he drops something, and then all of a sudden he's like, Melanie. And he finally remembers Melanie, and he climbs down, opens the door, and then gets hit by Farouk. And then all of a sudden he's just like sauntering out, getting into a car and driving away. And I loved how that shot where it starts head on and you see him in the car, and then it just sort of pans around, and as it goes, hits that windshield part, goes over into like the passenger side, it just goes, and then all of a sudden you see that slow reveal that Lenny is there in the passenger seat. That is some great directing and cinematography right there.
Mm-hmm. And I love that, again, because Lenny is basically a manifestation, his version of Lenny, unlike David's. So David's is basically, Lenny is kind of a drug addict, very scruffy, very androgynous. But because we've spent time with Oliver, we know he's still stuck in the 60s. He has that very mod kind of aesthetic. So Lenny here is dressed, she has that 60s hair, and she has the heavy cat's eye eyeliner, and she has that dress, and she looks a lot more elegant. And she's no longer, a melting tar monster. She's built back up and built anew, and they're off
to somewhere warmer, to the south, and
looking for something.
Yep.
Because that episode where he's like, where is it? Where is it? And he says, where is it? Not where is he? It's where is it? So is the it like his real body?
Well, considering we didn't talk about this because we didn't have shows for these couple weeks, but the guy who played Sammy in Wonder Woman, S.H.I.E.L.D. Taghmaoui, will be playing Farouk Amal in season 2.
Nice.
So we will see the male version of the Shadow King.
Huh. That'll be in a real body too. Huh. That'll be great. Because we won't have the angry boy anymore. We won't have the devil with yellow eyes, because that was all a figment in David's head, right? So they've been erased in the transfer. We saw that in the wonderful CGI that was done in the trip through David's memories. So yeah, interesting. Could be in Oliver's head, could be in real life. We don't know yet, and we'll find out. Do we know when season 2 is set to air again? Is it going to be March next year, February, March next year in 2018?
I'm looking for a date, and I am not seeing it. It just says 2018.
Okay, we'll look for that. So season 1 aired chapter 1 on 8th February. So let's just call it early February unless we hear something else. So we did, after everything settled down, we did get a mid-credit scene. I love mid and post-credit scenes. We got a mid-credit scene, and it's Sid and David. They're out on the deck in this wonderful home, which I assume is somewhere in Vancouver, and they are just having a great time. They're smiling. They're looking at the night sky, and then they have a little friend that just sort of floats by, Jetson style, and then it scans David, and then boom, David's hidden and trapped inside this little floaty ball, and it goes away, and Sid's like, what do I do?
That sucks.
Yeah. So I was looking up, what the hell is this thing? There is an issue of Legion. It's one of the more recent runs of the comic, where there's this little floating ball hanging around him talking to him. However, it does not abduct him. And some people were thinking it might be similar to, okay, in the show X-Men Evolution, Magneto sends these metal balls to abduct mutants that he thinks will be useful to him. But I remember those episodes, those balls were human sized because they would just go up and like scoop you. So we'll see. We do know Noah Hawley mentioned at Comic-Con that they do want to bring in like the wider mutant stuff. But I don't know if Magneto is going to be part of that.
That'll be interesting. I don't know what they have the rights to and what they don't have the rights to on the small screen.
Yeah, what got to me was that, here's David, who has never been in control of his own body, not completely. And, I have bipolar disorder, and it's like when you're not medicated, and then finally, David, feels better because the Shadow King's gone. And it's almost like for me, like I finally have the right medication and I feel okay. I feel better. And then all of a sudden here comes this floaty ball, and it takes David without his permission. And he's had maybe a couple of days of him being in control of his own body. And then it's taken away again. I just wanted to cry for him.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to have some strong identity issues. He even mentions, I'm kind of scared of going through this because I don't know if this is just me hoping that this is what's going to happen or what this is really going to happen. So yeah, it's very scary to be in that position. Indeed. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh man, I don't know what I would do. And he seems to be get out of it okay until the end of the episode. And we'll see what happens in season 2. Very interested now. Again, I've forgotten it left that on this cliffhanger. I'm really interested for season 2 to start again. Ooh, yay!
Mm-hmm.
All right. Series as a whole, this was amazing. Took 4 or 5 episodes to figure out where it was going. And then the rewatch was amazing again. If you have seen this in the past and you've not gone back to rewatch it, I really recommend that you do. I know I found it on Amazon Prime. Is it on Netflix yet, or is it still on Hulu?
It is no longer on Hulu.
Okay.
I'm guessing because it's about to be on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's right. So you can actually pick it up and maybe even own the digital copy like on Vudu or something. So yeah, look for it there. Michelle, did you enjoy the series as a whole?
I think it's one of the most innovative and creative television experiences that I, had in a very long time. I do recommend rewatching it, and maybe not binge it in one day, but actually try to watch it like in consecutive nights, either 8 days in a row or maybe 2 at a time, because it does feel like a little novel. And we talked about before the show, will this season 2 start with chapter 9? And in a way, I hope it does, because it'll continue like that cohesive feel. I really hope that through either I got this on Amazon, actually purchased it on Amazon, either purchasing on Amazon or, getting the Blu-ray or something. I really hope it finds an audience. Cause it reminds me of Orphan Black. Orphan Black for me was very innovative, and Tatiana Maslany, by season 2, you forget that she's all the clones because she's that good. And that slowly built, the BBC, let that grow, because the first season was kind of like this, very small audience. But by the end, it had built word of mouth, people rewatch it and everything. And so I hope that's what happens here. This is a gem. It should not be overlooked. I'm frustrated that it hasn't gotten any sort of like award recognition or more critical recognition, because this goes beyond just being a superhero show. It's an experience.
You know what? I was just thinking, what if in a couple of years that Rick from The Walking Dead and David from Legion just happened to wake up from their comas in a hospital somewhere? That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? No, Lauren, what is your final thoughts about the Legion series?
Okay, so I adored this series. It was just an amazing storytelling experience. The acting was phenomenal. Just viewing wise, it's stylish. It's layered. The sound, not even the soundtrack's good, but in terms of just using sound on the show, it's fantastic. There was so much thought put into it. It's interesting on first watch, but it's really a show that you get so much from in rewatch. And I will be rewatching this. This is something I'm going to be showing people. This is something that, I'm going to be recommending to so many people. And I haven't already recommended it to a bunch of people. And it's something that I hope inspires people like showrunners and stuff like that to take more risks in terms of creative and innovative storytelling. Because viewers aren't dumb. We like, the challenge sometimes. We like having these layered stories and knowing, having to figure out what's going on. And this is especially something that shows that you can do innovative stuff with comic shows and with, these maybe, second and third tier characters who you don't think of off the top of your head when you think of comic book characters. There's such a rich history down there that seriously, you can do so much with these characters, especially in terms of this type of creative storytelling. Just give me everything.
It's been an amazing series, and I'm glad I got a chance to rewatch it. And I remember when Haley was first asking, "Hey, have you guys seen Legion yet?" I'm like, well, I actually haven't had a chance to. And it was like a week or two later before I was able to start picking it up off the DVR. I was like, what is going on here? And Haley was all like, what is happening? I don't understand. Then we get to episode 4 and 5. And we're like, oh, I understand. And it just hooked me in from there. And I'm so glad we actually had a chance to run through it. Now, another series that we're running through right now is Iron Fist. We'll be running that through the end, and then we will start with Defenders, and we will intermix that with Inhumans as it comes up. We're not going to have a second episode this week. We are going to start again with Iron Fist next Sunday, which I believe is the 6th episode of the series Immoral Emerges from Cave. So that will be our next episode 196 of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. I almost said Gonna Geek there. We have Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be on that episode. Now, talking about Gonna Geek, though, we have a bunch of other great shows on the Gonna Geek network, and one of which is Strange and Unusual. And they recently came out with this is an audio drama, guys. It is just fun. It's a family of shows, friends of the family, if you want, of shows. And this particular show is on Spooky Cray Cray Summer's Vacay Part 1. So in this audio drama, in this episode of Spooky and Cute, the witch Spooky is off to summer vacation with very specific designs to do as little as possible, but Cute has other plans. Listen in as she tells her class about what she did this summer. So go check that out at gonnageek.com. Once again, that's Strange and Unusual Spooky's Cray Cray Summer Vacay Part 1.
I'm actually in that as the bad guy.
Ooh, I'm shocked. Lauren, a bad guy. So go check that out if you want to hear Lauren's voice talents. In the meantime, let's move on to the news. We have a few news stories that we picked up since we last recorded, and the first is a new Inhumans trailer. Oh, I don't know.
Oh, God. You get like little character, like this is the character and but it still looks like it was in a cardboard. Like the settings remind me of like the 1960s Star Trek in a way, just how sparse and like they had no money. And so they had to spray paint the same rocks, different colors to make it look like different planets each week. And what's frustrating is I know of what Medusa's power, because it's like a symbiotic relationship with her hair. You know, she's called, like Medusa in mythology had the snakes in her hair and they, had that relationship, but it still looks like she just telepathically controls this wig.
Yeah, the hair does not look good. I don't know. I'm hoping it'll surprise me and it'll be better than I thought, but I am just so not enthused. Just give me my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back, guys.
I know. I'm hoping that Marvel starts to do some damage control here, not to be confused by any TV show that may or may not be called Damage Control. I seriously hope that they start either fixing the episodes and putting some serious money into it for the CGI and the story, and maybe do research, I don't know, or they start to do damage control of, okay, this was, it's an offshoot of a movie project and didn't translate to the small screen very well, but we'll fix it in season 2. We're doing a lot of great planning for season 2, so hang on and watch it, and that will entice more people to at least hang in there and watch it. But I don't know, there's just so much on TV now with the comic book stuff. You might start to get comic book fatigue setting in. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to poo-poo anything completely just yet until I've seen it. But yeah, it's not looking good for Scott Buck and Marvel. What is looking good, though? If you've seen Defenders, if you've seen everything else on Netflix that's Marvel related, including Claire and the rest of the women in Iron Fist, we have another Netflix series that's coming to you soon, don't we?
We do. It's The Punisher, and a teaser trailer was released at the end of Defenders. So if you haven't seen Defenders yet, stay after the credits for the last episode. And if your Netflix is anything like mine, it's going to try to make you skip it. So don't let it. But if it does skip it and you can't figure out how to get back to it, it's on YouTube. Or if you haven't seen Defenders yet and just want to see the trailer, it's on YouTube. And it's just, it's a teaser. It's just quick little flashes, Frank Castle with a sledgehammer, little voiceover, flashes of action, and the Punisher logo. But it has me excited. Unlike the Inhumans trailer, this one has me excited. I was talking with somebody. Oh, I remember who. When I was doing archery about a week and a half ago. I was talking with the guy who was instructing me, and we were talking about how Jon Bernthal was just so perfect as the Punisher in Daredevil season 2. And I'm so looking forward to seeing him in his own show and just seeing him. And we know Karen's going to be in this series doing reportery stuff. And I'm looking forward to more Karen. I'm looking forward to him. I'm looking forward to just seeing what happens. Just come on, guys. This is what I want.
Yeah, I hope they don't stretch it out. I like the Punisher, but I can only take so much Punisher. So in a way, either, it'd be great if this was just a contained season and isn't this cool? Or maybe it's like the 8 episodes like Defenders is or something, to where it's just like a nice, tight, because Punisher, I don't think there's going to be a lot of like intrigue and subtlety. The Punisher's not subtle. and such. So I'm looking forward to it. I really hope it's very tight storytelling.
Indeed. Now, another story that's come to our attention and just started yesterday on August 19th, actually, on Disney XD was Marvel's Spider-Man. So, Michelle, you've actually had a chance to check out the 2-episode season premiere, didn't you?
Well, I was able to start watching it. What's great is that, Spider-Man doesn't have like the suit all prepared. It's still like the sweatpants with the hoodie and the bad mask and having trouble with the shooting the webs. And it's like, I think the pressure's right or not. And then something goes wrong. And, the Spidey sense is like, I either like all these people are in trouble. How do I rescue them? And everything. So I can't wait to watch more. You can actually watch the first episode on YouTube just in case you can't find it in your 500 channels of cable.
Disney XD's in there somewhere. Yeah. Exactly.
Now it looks really promising.
All right. I know Haley loves the Marvel animated stuff as well, so maybe she will talk about it when she comes back. So that's all the news that we have this time around. We're going to move on to some feedback.
All right. We got a lot of stuff on Twitter this week with people talking about Defenders. But first, Mr. Pericletes tweeted us, "Recursion ensues." And it's a picture captioned Wolverine holding a picture of Wolverine holding a picture of Logan, #Logan. So what this picture is Hugh Jackman during the Logan press conference stuff holding an iPad. And it's one of those pictures. It's from X-Men, the animated series. It's Wolverine looking at a picture. And in the actual animated series, it's a picture of Jean. But here, he's caressing a picture of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. So this is like the ultimate recursion right here.
Woohoo!
We also have a couple of new people tweeting at us. So first, okay, SP, you tweeted at Anomaly Podcast. You'll have to tell me what you think of S.H.I.E.L.D. watching over us when you catch up. We'll discuss it on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. To which Anomaly Podcast tweeted us, "Will do. Just finished last season. Can only watch what's on Netflix, though, as I don't have regular television. I know, I'm weird."
Yeah, and
yeah, we agree with you. You're not weird. You're just living in the future.
Indeed. And for those of you that might not have access to cable because you don't want to pay cable or satellite prices, there are 2 options out there right now. There's starting to be a lot more, but PlayStation View, it's not just for PlayStation. They do have a small cable package that comes with DVR. I believe Haley actually uses that. And then YouTube TV is another option as well. But if you don't want to pay cable prices and you do have an internet connection, PlayStation View is an option that you definitely could use to get main stations like ABC and see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it airs in November.
And then we also had from @GreatScottTexas. First, he was replying to us and Andy Migna and DX Ferris. Ferris tweeted 17 minutes into the first episode of Defenders, and I'm totally glad I didn't watch Iron Fist. To which @GreatScottTexas said, "I have no desire to watch that. #NotMyDefenders." So what I think he's referring to here is that these Defenders on the TV show are not the actual comic book Defenders from like the first run of the comics. Those were like Doctor Strange and hold on, let me find the actual original lineup.
Yeah, this is something that I've forgotten about. We had talked about it before, but
yeah, it's like Doctor Strange, Namor, the Hulk. There's been a revolving door. Oh, Silver Surfer at some point. But yeah, it's been a revolving door. And I believe that Matt Fraction kind of popularized this lineup from the TV show.
Yeah, and to Ferris, I have to say, and everybody else that was on this Twitter exchange, I just have to say, come on, guys, it's Claire. You got to watch it for Claire. Claire's what's binding this whole thing together. I mean, you got to see it.
This is true. #defend hers.
And there you go. So thank you, everybody, for communicating with us on Twitter, email, Facebook, and we really appreciate it. Don't forget, we have a voicemail line, and you can go ahead and leave comments on our YouTube companions. But with that, with previous pre-show agreement, the ladies and I have decided we're going to ride in a Pokeball this one out. We made it to the end of the show. We talked about great Defenders. We talked about the great Legion series. We had some good news stories, and we had some great feedback. So thank you, everybody. And oh, by the way, yesterday, Michelle and I were at Gen Con. Lauren, I'm not trying to throw salt in the wound here, but we were at Gen Con, and we did not one but two panels on podcasting in the bowels of somewhere in Indianapolis. And it was amazing. People came out in droves and filled the room, and we had a couple of great panels. We're hoping to have those on eventually on our YouTube channel here at youtube.com/GonnaGeek. So stay tuned for that. But thank you, everybody, for coming out, asking your questions. It was so much fun. It was so fun to actually be in person again with Cody and to meet Jonathan. Michelle, it was a great time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's very interesting when you do a panel and you're actually with each other, because it's one thing to talk to each other over, Hangouts or Twitter or whatever, but then you're actually sharing the physical space and you feel each other's energies, and it makes for a completely different experience.
Definitely is fun. And maybe next year we'll be there with Lauren. So stay tuned for that.
Fingers crossed.
All right. In the meantime, you have fun on your vacation. You're leaving pretty soon, so you got a little while for that. But you are going somewhere. You're not.
I am going somewhere.
Yeah. All right.
I am spreading the gospel of Marvel far and wide. Actually, no, I'm just kind of chilling out with family. So.
That kind of reminds me of the Mockingbird run from last year and the cruise ship. So yeah, Lauren's going to be on a cruise ship. So
my God, please tell me there will be corgis.
That'd be fun.
That'd be amazing.
All right. So we'll talk about it.
If I find a corgi, I'm taking a picture with
it. So Lauren's going to have some fun on vacation coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk all about that when she returns. But until then, I just want to thank everybody for downloading this podcast, everybody who subscribes to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We really appreciate it, because we do this for you, and it's great that you guys are still downloading this stuff. Nearly 200 episodes in. It just boggles my mind.
I want to thank everybody who's been talking on Twitter to us. I've loved seeing your reactions to Defenders and to Iron Fist when we tweet about it, because, it just makes me laugh, and I love hearing from you. We love hearing from you, and we love knowing that you're still listening to us. Thank you guys so much.
And thank you very much, Michelle, for joining us today in Haley's absence. It's always great to have you on, because your perspectives are so cool. It's just great to hear from you. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I just expect you to pay my consultant fee pretty soon.
And that bill's rising up, huh? Well, I did pay a little bit about it yesterday. So, there's a little...
Yes. Thank you for lunch. Okay. That was nice.
All right. So until next time, I'm Director Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
See you guys next week. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to GonnaGeek.com and you will find all our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com, where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod, found at incompetech.com, and also artists on pond5.com and audiojungle.net. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual hosts and do not represent Stargate Pioneer Productions, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation, Marvel Studios, and ABC. No infringement is intended. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is copyright 2017.